Namaskar, I am Dhanashri Lele. I welcome you all to the program Sarva Mangala Mangalye, a celebration of Divine Mother. We are presenting this show on behalf of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya, Mumbai. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya is a place where history lives. This museum not only preserves the artifacts but also gives a thought to the tradition and culture behind it. The museum always organizes a wide variety of programs, and this program is one of them. Sarva Mangala Mangalye, a celebration of Divine Mother.
सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते
Sarva Mangala Mangalye is an attribute of Divine Mother, the one who brings in auspiciousness and positivity. The creation of this universe reveals two aspects, the masculine or fatherly and the feminine, motherly. That hidden infinite sphere wherein there is no creation, no planet, no sky, nothing exists but pure wisdom. That is the masculine aspect or father of this world called Brahma, Shiva, or Purusha, and the nature that holds various forms, the diamond dazzling stars, the Milky Way, the sky, the planets, trees, birds, rivers, creepers, mountains, clouds, rainbow, n number of forms, the countless beauties of the creation of this world, that is the feminine aspect, the mother divine, which is called Maya, Shiva, or Prakriti. In the epic poem Savitri, Sri Aurobindo delineates this mother divine as the divine consciousness. The poet also reveals how one becomes aware of his own nature, aware of the presence of God, the power, the bliss, and Sri Aurobindo calls it as Divine Mother. He also throws light on how the Divine Mother comes down and transforms darkness into light, the unreal into real, and death into immortality. The Mother always tries to connect the ignorant world to the supreme knowledge. She always tries to interview both the aspects, eternal and perishable. But why does she do that? Why does she put in so much of efforts? And the answer to this question is she is a mother. Not only the divine mother, but every mother tries to connect the father and the child. She always serves as the bridge between the father and the child. She always wants them to come together. What a beautiful metaphor. And we see the reflections of this beautiful metaphor on the way of spiritual journey. Some seers identify the Kundalini Shakti as Divine Mother. Kundalini Shakti moves upwards and they think that she uplifts the Jiva and raises it to the level of Shiva, where the Jiva and Shiva unite. Again, the same metaphor. Kundalini Shakti serves as a mother who brings the child to his father. This is motherhood. This is the mother aspect or motherly aspect of the Divine Mother. Let us bow down to motherhood. या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः.
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै नमस्तस्यै नमस्तस्यै
As we know, Amrutanubhava is a mystic composition by Jnaneshwar Maharaj. Amrutanubhava talks about the Vedanta philosophy, Siddha philosophy, and about Shivadvaita. What is Shivadvaita? Advaita is union. Shivadvaita means union of Shiva and Shiva. Amrutanubhava throws light on the concept of Shiva, and for Shivadvaita, Jnaneshwar Maharaj uses the term Shiva Shakti Samaveshana, and he mentions it very clearly that he could have the experience of Shiva Shakti Samaveshana only because of the blessings of his Guru Nivrittinath. Jnaneshwar Maharaj says that he could learn it through the experience of the final state of liberation. In the first chapter of Amrutanubhava, Jnaneshwar Maharaj narrates how the union of Shiva and Shakti takes place. According to our Upanishadic concept, Shiva once had a desire. What was his desire? His desire was Ekoham Bahusyam Prajayeyam. That means, I'm alone, but I don't want to be alone. I want to be many. Ekoham Bahusyam Prajayeyam. But since he was alone, he was not able to create the world. And so, out of this desire, he took a reverse position. He took the feminine form and he became his beloved, named Shiva. And then they came together. This action of Shiva, that is taking the reverse position or taking the feminine form, is explained by using Bimba Pratibimba Nyaya. Just as one who is desirous of appreciating or looking at his own beauty stands in front of the mirror and looks at his reflection. Similarly, Shiva also looks at his reflection, but the reflection of Shiva is not that of Shiva, but the reflection of Shiva is Shiva. So Shiva is Bimba and Shiva is Pratibimba. This is Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. Jnaneshwar Maharaj throws light on Bimba Pratibimba Bhava and Shiva Shakti Samaveshana in Amrutanubhava. Even the evolutionary sciences present the same idea. The first life on earth split itself into two. So now, from one life, there were two lives. From one organism, there were two organisms. And then those two organisms came together and they started producing the later life. The story of Shiva and Shakti represents the beginning and the maintenance of life on earth. And Shiva could do it only with the help of Shakti, because Shiva is the absolute static state and Shakti, that is Shiva, is active state. And therefore, Shiva could take various forms through her creativity or creative energy. Jnaneshwar Maharaj has an extraordinary imagination about Shakti taking various forms. Why does she take so many forms? And the answer is, she takes myriad forms because her husband is formless. And to conceal his formlessness, she takes various forms. She wears the robe of this universe, beautiful and colorful robe. The words of Jnaneshwar Maharaj are, पतीचेनी अरूपपणे लाजोनी अंगाचे मिरविणे केले जगाये वडे लेणे नामरूपाचे. पतीचेनी अरूपपणे, पती husband, arupa formless. Her husband was formless. Lazoni angache miravane, and so Shakti felt a little awkward in moving about with her formless husband. And so she started wearing the robe of this universe, the beautiful and colorful robe. Here I am reminded of the Mayavada put forward by Shankaracharya. Everything around us is Brahman, and Brahma is Nirguna and Nirakara, formless. Then how come we see the objects around? How come we see the world around? And the answer to this question is Mayavada. According to Shankaracharya, Maya, the Shakti of Brahma or wife of Brahma, pulls down a veil to conceal the Nirguna Nirakara Brahma, the similar concept. I think these stories are related with Maya or with Shakti, but I think this is a speciality of a woman, that woman is always able to cover up or to conceal the deficiencies or dearth. She always wants her family to be presented as perfect one in every manner before the world. And how come or how can the Divine Mother be an exception to this? This is the Gruhini Rupa of Divine Mother. Let us bow down to this Gruhini Rupa. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Gruhini Rupena Samsthita. Namastasyai, 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 Namo Namaha.
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु गृहिणीरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः नमस्तस्यै नमो नमः.
Our Indian culture has been criticized for having a condescending approach towards women. But I think we should understand it very clearly that neither our culture nor the philosophy or the Sanatana Dharma considers woman any way less than a man. She is not considered subordinate to man at all. In fact, the energy or the feminine form is always identified as energy. It is clearly said in Saundarya Lahari by Shankaracharya that Shiva, though the supreme being or the supreme power, cannot make or move even a blade of grass without the help of Shakti, without the support of Shakti. That means Shakti cannot be channelized without Shiva, and without Shakti, Shiva is as good as Shava, creationless. So there is no one superior or no one inferior. They are the reflection of each other. And in fact, in our culture, we worship both male god and female god. And in our culture, goddesses are presented not as wives or consorts or daughters of male gods, but they are considered as separate entities. They have their own independent existence. For example, Lakshmi. Lakshmi is worshipped not because she is the wife of Vishnu, but she has her own capacities, she has her own attributes, she has her own power. Or think of Shakta Sampradaya. Shakta Sampradaya, that means this matrilineal culture, celebrates and worships Divine Mother as the supreme being. According to them, Shakti can take form of awakened consciousness, awakened soul. That means in our culture, or our culture gives equal importance to Shaiva, Vaishnava and Shakta Parampara.
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शक्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः.
There is one more attribute to Mother Divine. She is called Ajarayuni. But what does it mean? Jara means old age and Ajara means one who stays young forever. And Yoni here specifically means a female or a woman who can produce without any gap or who can produce constantly. So Ajara Yoni means a woman or a female who can produce constantly remaining young. Mother Divine is called Ajara Yoni because she is working, she is still producing. I am talking to you here, and somewhere in the world a mother is giving birth to her child. We are having a conversation here, and somewhere in the world a poet is busy writing his new poem. We are talking about the Mother Divine, and the Mother Divine might be busy in making a bud bloom into a fragrant flower. This is how the Mother Divine is always busy in producing. She never stops giving birth. It is also said that after the creation, Shiva slept, but his wife, his energy, his Shakti was still awake, and she is awake till today. She is working. This situation is not seen only in the supreme abode, but the reflection of this situation can be seen even on earth, even in our families. On a lighter mood, the husband sleeps and the wife takes hold or takes charge of her family, like the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother is busy in producing, in giving birth to their children. She looks after them, she takes care of them, she cooks food for them. She shoulders almost all the responsibilities of household, like the Mother Divine. Now, after listening to this, one may ask, if everything is done by the Mother Divine, then what is the role of Shiva? What is his significance? We should know it, or we should understand it clearly, that though Mother Divine is taking care of this world, Shiva is the father of this world, he is the Chaitanya. Treating Shiva or Purusha as Chaitanya doesn't mean treating him as superior. Although the mother gives birth to the child, but the living part of the child comes from his father, that is Shiva. Thus, our culture, while extolling or while celebrating Mother Divine, does not forget to acknowledge the significance of Shiva.
या देवी सर्वभूतेषु तुष्टिरूपेण संस्थिता या देवी सर्वभूतेषु तुष्टिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः.
Shiva and Shakti appear to be different. However, this dichotomy is superficial or superficial. In reality, they are one. Jnaneshwar Maharaj has interestingly illustrated the oneness of Shiva and Shakti. He says, two drumsticks produce one sound, two lips utter one word, two lamps produce one light, and two eyes produce one sight. Likewise, Shiva and Shakti, though appear to be different, though seem to be two, they are one. And this is the concept of couple or dampatya in Indian culture. I think this concept of dampatya is one of the strong features of Indian marriage institution, because in India, in philosophical approach, marriage is always considered to be a stepping stone towards oneness. The husband and wife are different, they are distinct, but at the same time, they are considered to be one. This is the concept of dampatya. And this is very interesting that it is observed that over the years, husband and wife start looking alike. This is the impact of their oneness or their union. This dampatya is nothing but the personification of Maya Brahma, Shiva Shakti, and Prakriti Purusha. The form of Ardhanari Nateshwara symbolizes the idea of couple, idea of dampatya.
सार्धं केन च कस्यार्धं शिवयोः समरूपिणोः ज्ञातुं न शक्यते लग्नम् इति द्वैतच्छलान्मुहुः इति द्वैतच्छलान्मुहुः.
Our culture has primarily been a worshipper of nature. When we say we worship nature, then it comes as no surprise that we also worship land. The land, who helps us in sustaining our lives. The land, like Divine Mother, is constantly producing. She feeds us, she nourishes us, she raises us. For Indians, the land is the form of Divine Mother. Here I recall a beautiful shloka related to Ramakatha. After the victory over Ravana, Prabhu Ramachandra was requested to stay in Lanka and to become the king. Prabhu Ramachandra says, "No, I don't want a kingdom of Lanka. I don't want to stay in Lanka, but I wish to go back to my mother, to my motherland. Because for me, my mother and motherland are greater than heaven. Janani Janma Bhumishcha Svargadapi Gariyasi." So for Indians, this land is a form of Divine Mother. In Western countries or in Western cultures, country or land is called patria. That means a father nation, which symbolizes aggression and power. But here in India, we consider our nation as motherland. And therefore, the concepts like Bharata Mata or Vande Mataram stem from the very acknowledgement of the presence of the Divine Mother. Here I recall one beautiful shlok in Sanskrit. नानाधर्मनिगूढतत्त्वनिचिता यत्संस्कृतिराजते सेयं भारतभूर्नितान्तरुचिरा मातैव नः सर्वदा तस्या उन्नतिहेतवे हि भवतां ज्ञानं तथा मे बलं सम्पन्ना बलशालिनी विजयतां मे मातृभू सर्वदा सम्पन्ना बलशालिनी विजयतां मे मातृभू सर्वदा. May my motherland be victorious. This is how we Indians worship our motherland. In Western culture, while the land takes the masculine form, in India, she takes the feminine form. And though the form is feminine, she is never considered as a fragile or a delicate individual. She is never considered as feeble, meek, or timid. She is strong. She is a born fighter. And that is why Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh called Divine Mother to fight battles against the Asuras. Devi alone or single-handedly fought battles with 9 Asuras. We get to read more about the battles fought by Devi in Durga Saptashati. Devi fought battles against Shumbha-Nishumba, Chandamunda, Madhukaitaba, Raktabija, Dhumralochana, and of course with Mahishasura. Mahishasura was a demon. He was Asura and he performed Ugra Tapashcharya, that is, severe austerities. Lord Brahma was pleased by his tapasya. Mahishasura wanted immortality. But Brahma said, I can't give you immortality because everyone who is born here has to die. Then Mahishasura asked for the second boon. He said, then no man should be able to kill me. And if I have to die, then I would like to die at the hands of a woman. Mahishasura was confident and sure that no woman would ever think of fighting a battle against him. We all know this story, so let me cut the long story short. There emerges Durga, an 8-armed woman, Ashtabhuja Durga. She sat on her lion. All the gods paid their obeisances to her. They sang her praises and they gave her their weapons. Vishnu gave her Sudarshan Chakra, Shiva gave her trident, Trishula, and Indra gave her Vajra, his thunderbolt. Then Devi sat on her lion and she rode out to meet her destined enemy, that is Mahishasura. Then Devi had a severe fight with Mahishasura, and after some time Devi pinned him down to the ground and raised her Trishula, that is trident, and pierced the chest of the demon Mahishasura, and thus she became victorious.
नमो देव्यै महादेव्यै शिवायै सततं नमः नमो देव्यै महादेव्यै शिवायै सततं नमः नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः.
This is one of the 7 stories from Durga Saptashati. The point is that nowadays woman is considered as feeble or timid, but every woman should remember that the power that she possesses is that of Goddess Durga. So she should not consider herself as abala, powerless. Whenever I read Durga Saptashati, I always feel that the stories are related not only with our outside world, but they do have certain connections with our inner world. Let us try to understand the meaning of Durga Saptashati. The first battle that Devi fought is against Madhukaitabha. Who are Madhukaitabha? According to the story, Madhukaitabha are asuras. But when we apply this story to our inner world, Madhukaitabha stand for sweetness and bitterness. Madhu and Kaitabha. Though we have 6 taste zones on our tongue, we are primarily concerned with sweetness and bitterness. Even a young child has a sense of sweet and bitter taste. Thus, Madhukaitabha stand for this dvandva or duality, in which man gets entangled right from his childhood. When something good happens, we become happy. When something bad happens, we become sad. This is also a kind of dvandva. And when sadhaka wants to progress on his spiritual path, he has to overcome the first hurdle, that is dvandva. And so this is the first battle that sadhaka has to fight. Then comes Mahishasura. Mahishasura is a symbol of ego, lust, and rage. Eventually, these emotions take hold of us and they start dominating us. So, sadhaka has to fight the second battle against ego. Then comes Dhumra Lochana. Dhumra means smoke and Lochana means eyes or sight. Whenever we encounter Dhumra Lochana, then our sight gets covered with dhumra, that is smoke of worldly affairs. This dhumra or this smoke doesn't allow us to see the Supreme Being or to see the path that is going to take us to the Supreme Being. So the third battle that sadhaka has to fight is against Dhumra Lochana. There he has to purify his sight, there he has to purify his thoughts. And then come Chanda and Munda. Chanda stands for aggression or ahankar, and Munda stands for intelligence, buddhi. Chanda is so fiery that it burns everything around us, and Munda, that is intelligence, keeps on interfering and holds the sadhaka back from being completely devoted. So, the fourth battle that sadhaka has to fight is against Chanda and Munda. And then comes the most dangerous asura, that is Raktabija. Raktabija has secured a boon, and according to that boon, for every drop of blood that spills on the battleground, hundreds of Raktabija will come up and they will be identical and they will have the same boon. Here Raktabija stands for our desire. When we fulfill our desire, hundreds of desires come up, and that is why this asura is called the most dangerous asura in the way of sadhaka. Because sadhaka has to overcome his desires if he wants to progress on his spiritual journey. Thus, the sadhaka has reached the 6th level, but still he is one step away from his final goal, that is self-realization. And at this step, there come Shumbha and Nishumbha. Shumbha and Nishumbha stand for Shubha and Ashubha, pleasant and unpleasant, morality and immorality. Shumbha and Nishumbha represent the dilemma that people face in their everyday life. And the only way out of this dilemma is the total surrender. If sadhaka really wants to overcome all the dilemmas, all the dichotomies, then sadhaka has to surrender himself at the lotus feet of the Divine Mother. And then comes the Divine Mother and slays down all the asuras. And at that moment, at that time, sadhaka becomes the embodiment of compassion, sadhaka becomes the embodiment of knowledge, sadhaka becomes the embodiment of purity, because the Mother Divine has dispelled all the impurities in him, and he takes as if the form of a golden chariot. His Atma sits in that chariot, and now Devi becomes the charioteer or Sarathi, and she takes this Suratha, this beautiful golden vehicle, to the Supreme Being. Once again, the same imagination, the same metaphor. Here, the Divine Mother takes the form of Sarathi and takes her child to his father. The Divine Mother is our own true being. She is our inner divinity and wholeness. After listening to this, someone may say that this is a myth. Myth is an ancient and effective way of teaching. What that cannot be conveyed through philosophical discussions or through long debates, that can be transmitted easily through myth or metaphor. In this Durga Saptashati, we see two different and opposite forms of Devi Durga, a terrifying form and a benevolent form. In her terrifying form, she kills all the demons. But in this destruction, one can see the light of resplendent regeneration. So we can say that in every action of hers, we can see her compassionate nature, because she is the mother of universe, the Divine Mother.
निर्लेपा निर्मला नित्या निर्लेपा निर्मला नित्या निराकारा निराकुला निराकारा निराकुला निर्गुणा निष्कला निर्गुणा निष्कला शान्ता निष्कामा निरुपप्लवा शान्ता निष्कामा निरुपप्लवा निर्लेपा निर्मला नित्या निराकारा निराकुला निर्गुणा निष्कला निर्गुणा निष्कला शान्ता निष्कामा निरुपप्लवा शान्ता निष्कामा निरुपप्लवा सर्वशक्तिमयी सर्वमङ्गला सद्गतिप्रदा सर्वशक्तिमयी सर्वमङ्गला सद्गतिप्रदा सर्वेश्वरी सर्वमयी सर्वमन्त्रस्वरूपिणी सर्वशक्तिमयी सर्वमङ्गला सद्गतिप्रदा सर्वशक्तिमयी सर्वमङ्गला सद्गतिप्रदा सर्वेश्वरी सर्वमयी सर्वमन्त्रस्वरूपिणी निर्लेपा निर्मला नित्या निर्लेपा निर्मला नित्या.
Let me sum up by narrating a short story. There is a baby camel standing beside his mother. He is a little nervous. So mother asks him, "Oh my baby, what happened to you? What's wrong with you? Why are you looking so nervous?" Then baby asks, "Mother, why do we have these two humps on our back? They look so odd and I feel so awkward." The mother says, "Because you are the animal of desert. You have to travel for a couple of days, and sometimes it may happen that you won't get any food. At that time, these hump will serve as the food storage." Then baby camel asks, "Then why do we have these long legs?" Mother says, "Because you are the animal of desert, and to protect yourself from scorching heat, you have these long legs." "Okay mom, but why do we have 3 eyelashes?" Mother says, "Because you are the animal of desert, and in desert you may face sandstorms, and to protect yourself from those storms you have 3 levels of eyelashes." that baby becomes so happy and he says, Mother, I should thank you for giving me everything which I need to survive in this desert. Mother says, No, my baby, you should not thank me. In fact, we should thank the Mother Divine who gives every individual what is needed to survive. This is the compassion of the Divine Mother. या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः.
सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते नारायणी नमोऽस्तु ते